Hey there, it is Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
More noise in the Ratcliffe household. That's okay.
One of these days it'll go away.
We have everything under control. Commissioner Tim Echols with us today. He's actually in the office, and we're so pumped to talk to him. By the way, he has a show on our sister station, AM 920, The Answer. It's called Energy Matters. Commissioner, how are you?
I'm doing great. Wonderful to be here at the Capitol. We're really blessed in Georgia. So many things going right, and we've got just a fantastic climate for our churches, in Metro and beyond. God's at work.
Well, we just want to say thank you for serving us. You have been serving us so well, and we appreciate that you bring your faith out in the open. And we're going to talk a little bit about faith. Like to talk about faith and politics because, for years it's been, well, you can't be in politics and, follow Christ and vice versa. But you and many others have proved that wrong. And you do that so well. You lead with such strength and integrity. So we'll talk about that in a second. And something that you founded I think you said 27 years ago. It's called Pact. It's in 50 states. And it inspires youth to follow Christ. It trains them about political process and liberty and defending their faith. Let's talk about that, and then we'll get into faith and politics here in a second. How did this all begin?
I was serving, being mentored by my pastor, John Rao. We were coming to the Capitol here in Georgia every Wednesday morning at 6 for a prayer meeting, 6 in the morning. In a legislative committee meeting. And it was in that meeting of those pastors that God gave me this idea of bringing kids to the Capitol. And so I wrote a little curriculum. I took a prayer trip throughout Georgia, asking parents, hey, would you trust me with your teenagers for a week? And let's see what God might do at the Capitol as I teach them how to write bills, meet their legislators, meet lobbyists, meet journalists, all in the context of a very busy, crowded state capitol during the legislative session. So these 18 kids showed up that week with their parents. And by God's grace, since 1994, as Pact has continued to grow, first to South Carolina, then Kentucky, Mississippi, New Mexico, Hawaii, and then we wrapped it up last year going into North Dakota, Utah, and California. We're in all 50 states. Over 65,000 young people have gone through the program. Wow. And just last week, we hit our 1,000th week-long class that we've done in the history of the ministry. So I serve on the board. We have a fantastic staff up in Richmond, Virginia. And God's moved me on, full time to serving constituents here in Georgia on the Public Service Commission.
So, Tim, how does that make you feel, especially like with that first group or two, and to see them kind of open their eyes and go, this could be something that I could do, serving the people that I live with, but also intertwining my faith with it. How many of those people have gone on to serve in politics, do you think?
Yeah, we had the youngest female in Florida's history to be elected to their General Assembly, the youngest female in the history of Oklahoma to be elected to their General Assembly, the youngest female in Montana to be elected. Obviously, a number of males as well, lots of city council people. Many of these kids being lawyers now, working in Washington. I was meeting with Congressman Loudermilk's staff maybe a couple months ago, sitting down having lunch in a cafeteria up in Washington. And the young man in front of me says, oh, by the way, I went through Pact when I was 11.
Oh, wow.
It's like, okay,
that's awesome.
Didn't know that. So I'm meeting kids all over the place who have an impact. My own personal assistant here at the Capitol went through our ministry, Faith Henning, from Covington. So God has moved in the life of these young people, but it's more than just getting people interested in running for office. It's being a good citizen. It's voting. It's engaged in campaigns. It's serving in nonprofits. It's running ministries, understanding how things work here in the Capitol, under the Gold Dome, knowing and appreciating that, not being so cynical about it, realizing, wait a second, we're in a country, America, that has, the best system in the world. And I need to understand how it works beyond just reading it in a textbook. And that's what we do. We bring them here. We give them a 4-day look at how all of this happens. And then they can go home, educate their own parents in some cases. Really, it's a lifelong skill that we're helping them develop.
We're talking with Commissioner Tim Echols. It's good to have him. He's there in office at the Capitol. A little time with him. He's got a show on our sister station, AM 920, The Answer. It's called Energy Matters. Check that out. Tim, let's rewind a bit. Who inspired you at the very beginning? Who was it that got you interested in serving on this level?
When I was in high school, I went to public high school here in Atlanta at North Clayton High School, and I had a student council advisor that really believed in me, Robin Greer, and she encouraged me to run for office at the school. So I've actually never lost an election. I started when I was 14 and won 3 times in high school. And then I met Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A. I met him at the Atlanta Airport Rotary Club. I was the student of the year for my high school. He really took it to the next level with me, challenging me to listen to Dr. Stanley's tapes and Zig Ziglar's tapes, to go off to college, get a degree, and be a leader. So I went to the University of Georgia, and I got involved with the Baptist Student Union. I sent teams out all across Georgia for 4 years, doing youth revivals, youth retreats. And so God really used a secular university like the University of Georgia, not only to develop my leadership skills, but to introduce me to Wendy Davis, who is my wife of 39 years and the mother of my 7 children. So God can take any situation as you yield yourself to him, and he can use that in your life and help you reach his plan for your life if you will listen to him and obey. It's just a fantastic story of God's faithfulness in my life.
And it's so cool that probably I would assume that Cathy had a lot to do with you intertwining the faith and the political aspect, because so many people think you got to leave those separate, but they can work together, right?
Yeah, Truett wasn't a super activist when it came to politics. He was very, very careful, but he was super involved in Rotary Club, civic clubs, his community, especially fostering children. And that really is what got him engaged in politics, is the way he wanted to do those wind-shaped foster homes. He wanted to, he didn't want to just take a foster kid and then give them back. He wanted to invest in them for the rest of their life. And so in Truett's model, he would take that foster child whose parents maybe had died or they were in jail, and he would put them through private school. He would, help them get a job, pay for their wedding, send them to graduate school. And he made a lifelong commitment to those kids. And he was attempting to get the state of Georgia to take a similar approach. And it wasn't, he wasn't that successful at being able to persuade government here, but because God had blessed him financially, he just went and did it anyway. And it's a great story of a man who is the most generous person that I ever knew.
Definitely, yeah.
Commissioner Tim Echols with us today, the Public Service Commissioner. Tim, we're so glad that you could join us today. We appreciate you. And as I said earlier, we appreciate your service. You have an amazing story. We got just a few minutes. Let's talk about your day-to-day, walking out the things that you do. Of course, you do it, in faith. But let's talk a little bit about politics and faith together.
When I ran for this office in 2010, a lot of my Christian friends said, why are you doing that office? Why don't you run for Congress or for something that really matters? And I've really had to persuade my Christian friends that serving, is something God wants us to do wherever we're at. And, God put me into this position to regulate energy, to work with my colleagues here at the Public Service Commission. I'm a constitutional officer. I'd be the 9th highest ranking official in the state of Georgia. So, under the lieutenant governor, the secretary of agriculture, the attorney general, and then you get right down to the public service commission. But it's an important position because, one, it's a position of authority. And I think we want believers in as many positions of authority as possible, because I'm at the table, others are out away from the table or even outside of the building. And so we want people with a Christian worldview engaging at all levels. And so it's not just the stuff we see on cable news that's important, the stuff in Washington. It's your mayor, it's your city council person, your county commission. And you know what God often does? He starts a person at something small. And they, through their faithfulness, may be given other responsibilities. Maybe they run for other offices. And certainly I'm not planning on doing that right now, but I don't know what God has for me in the future. I think the main thing is to focus on what he's given us now and to be faithful with that. And then, as we're faithful, then maybe he moves us to something else. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he even takes this away from me because he has something else for me to do that maybe I don't even know right now. And so I try to hold things loosely. And it's hard because, when you get a position of authority or position of power, it feels good and you like it. I love this little office here, and I love, wearing the name tag and having the state seal and making speeches. But that's something God has given me temporarily, and I best not hold on to it too tightly.
Commissioner Tim Echols, he is the Public Service Commissioner for the state of Georgia. Tim, we appreciate your time. Thank you for serving us again. You can go to timechols.com. And also, we had talked a little bit about Teen Pact. You can go to teenpact.com to find out more. We'd love to catch up with you in a few months. We know you're busy and we appreciate you, but we love to reconnect with you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Good
All
to
right,
talk to you.
let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.